Okay, so we have our symbols here, we have our grid, and we want to make sure that our blue, the blue side, the blue pane is active, and we are going to place the buildings on it. Now, we have to first consider where our light source is coming from. And I'm going to say that it's coming from the left. So we want our light colored buildings to be on the blue grid and then facing that way. And we want our dark ones on the orange grid or the right grid facing the other way. So I am going to go ahead and just get my perspective selection tool, and I'm going to start. And I'm just going to go in order of my light ones. So I'm going to drag number 1 on. And as I use, when I drag it on first, it doesn't, as you can see, go on the grid. But as soon as I get this tool and move it on, it does. Okay? So I've got 1 light, I've got 2 lights, and I can start putting them in the order that I want and start positioning them on the grid. And one thing that you want to do if yours is not already is we want to have snap to grid, which is actually under perspective grid. Oh, there we have snap to, I just did it there. So snap to grid, and that's going to help you get these pieces positioned exactly where you want them. Okay, and that was not actually where I wanted it. And you got to be careful because you don't want the bottom of it to be below below that grid. And I'm going to continue. For light. And notice when I move it, it just continues to move on down in perspective. Okay? Now, I'm going to activate my orange grid. And I want to do the same thing here. Okay, so I'm going to do the dark ones. And they do not need to be, other than this first one, they do not need to be in the same order as the others. And I'll explain why as soon as we get these placed. Now this, like I said, this very first one, this one needs to be the same because this is kind of like the building that we're sitting in front of looking at. So we need to make sure that these two buildings are aligned and meet right here where those two grids meet. Okay? And then after that, like I said, again, they don't need to be, in fact, they shouldn't be in the same order because that's going to make it look a little bit funny. 5 dark, and then I had, which I think I'm missing the 4 dark. Nope, I'm not missing the 4 dark. I'm missing the 3 dark. There we go. And there. Okay. Now, like I said, we can push and pull and make these taller. Like this one right here, I feel like that should be one of the tallest buildings in our cityscape. Okay. Now, we're not done by any means. In fact, we've got the easy part done. Now it comes a little bit trickier. Obviously, even though these buildings, these shapes are in perspective, we still don't see that third dimension. And we're going to see the third dimension by adding the side to that building. So I'm going to come over here to the symbol panel, and I actually want to see this in thumbnail view because it's going to give me a better idea of which one it is I'm looking for, as opposed to having the name of it. Okay, we have to drag it on, and we have to create the other side of it. So this one is right here. I'm going to drag it. Whoops, I'm not going to drag it yet, actually. I need to put it on the orange side. I'm going to drag it on. I'm going to use this tool to get it on that orange grid. Okay. Now, if I move it over here, it just looks like I'm moving it along this plane right here. Well, I can move it back and keep it on this plane. I shouldn't say that. It's not going to be on that plane. I can keep it in perspective, but push it back by holding down the number 5 on my keyboard. And notice how it moves back and forward now. Okay? And I need to move it back so that it can be the side of this building right here. And so I want to get it lined up to where the edges meet. They've got to be the same size. And then it's going to start looking more like a city. Okay? Now, you might say, well, this side of the building is blocking this first building, and it is. And that's where I've got to use my layers. I'm actually going to go ahead and close my align panel because I don't need it now, I don't think. But I am going to need my layers, so I'm expanding it and making it big. This one is there, and actually, let's see, this one I know is going to be at the front and center, so I need to be that there, and then this one there. I know that's the center of the front and center of my city, so that's got to be in front. And then I can start building and rearranging these cities based on that. Okay, so now I have this one. I know that I need, again, a dark one. It needs to be on that orange grid. Okay, and I'm going to just go ahead and pull it down, and now I'm going to hold the 5 so that I can push it back here. I'm going to zoom in so that I can see the edges so that I can make them meet, and so that I can resize it a little bit as necessary. Whoops. And sometimes if you can match them up on a grid line, it does help. It does help your matching up process. Now, that again is blocking part of my city, so I need this to be moved down somewhere in my grid. Maybe even further down. There we go. Okay. I'm going to bring it forward again. This was my tall building, which I believe is this one. Yep. I can move it onto that grid, hold down the 5. Actually, before I do that, I'm going to move it up here a little bit, then I'm going to hold down the 5. And I want to zoom in. Remember, this one we resized to make it big. And so we're going to have to do the same thing here. And I'm just going to drag it down till it meets. And I'm going to zoom in a little bit more so that I can make sure that the edges meet. And there's no real easy way to do that other than simply to zoom in and, oops, maybe that needs to go down there. Other than to zoom in and fine tune it. Okay, I like the way that is. This one, that side of the building needs to come down so that it is not blocking the other one. And I'm going to show you one more building, and then I'm going to let you work on the others here on this side. I have this dark one here. Okay, so I'm going to put it on that grid, hold down the 5. Actually, now I'm going to hold down the 5 and bring it back here and zoom in. and zoom in a little bit more so that I can match up the sides of the building and the size of it there. I think that looks good. I'll drag this one down so that it's down below. And now I would like you to go ahead and pause the video and work on building the light sides of these here. And when you're done, then come back and see what's next. Okay, so now I have buildings along both of my grids. I have both the light side and the dark side. What I want you to realize at this point, though, is that if we look at a city, rarely, if ever, do we actually see just cities along the edge. We always see bigger buildings in the background as well. So that's what we're going to have to work on building now. And I'm going to show you real quick how we're going to do that. So what I want you to do is, obviously we want to make sure that we have some bigger buildings in the back. Okay, this was one big building, but now we're going to need more. So I'm going to, and any of these can work, by the way. They don't have to be the narrow ones. I'm going to go ahead and pull in, there we go. Pull in a dark, this one, and it's going to go on the orange grid, obviously. I'm going to see about where it is there, and I'm going to go ahead and make this bigger right now. And then I'm going to use the 5 key to push this back. Now, because this building is back, we don't actually have to make it touch the ground. At least not always. Sometimes we do, sometimes we don't. Okay? But we do need to make sure that these get to be tall. Now, when I did this, obviously it put it in the front because of our layers. So I'm going to have to drag this, and it's probably best to go ahead and drag it back. Okay? And of course, wherever we push and pull it, it's going to stay on that orange side. So now I need to use the light-sided equivalent and go on the blue side. So I'm going to drag it here and get it on the grid. And again, I'm going to use that 5 key so that I can push and pull it and line it up, resize it, okay? And I might want to check on that size there. It's going pretty much down to the horizon, so that's going to be about the right size. I'm going to zoom in and make sure that I have the edges meeting where I want them to. And I got to budge that a little bit, nudge that a little bit. Okay, and then I'm going to have to drag that to the bottom. Okay, so now when I look, I've got this building popping up in the background. We need to start filling in the gaps with some other buildings. So you're going to place, I don't know, 5, 6 more buildings back in the background. Go ahead and press pause and do that now, and then come back and see my finished. Okay, so I hid my perspective grid, and here we can see I've got some bigger buildings in the background that we see. And once you get some of those blank areas filled in, go ahead and save, and now you're ready to go on to the next part.